Hey friends, today we are reviewing Frugal February, how my low spend month went in February, wins, challenges, things that I want to continue to do, and things that didn't go so great. And we're going to talk about Mindful March, which we're in already. It's already March 10th. Time got away from me. I meant to give this update sooner, but here we are today. Welcome back. And if you're somebody who wants some accountability in your own life for whatever, either with finances, with decluttering, with weight loss, relationships, whatever, if you're somebody who really wants to work on these goals in a meaningful way and connect with other people who are also actively working on their goals, stay tuned for the end because I have an opportunity for you that I think you might enjoy. I also am going to go ahead and put chapters in this video so that you can just click ahead if you are like me and you like spoilers. Let's get going right into how did Frugal February go? How did a low spend month go for somebody who is historically very impulsive when it comes to spending and shopping, and I'm terrible with money? This is what went well for me in February. Wins. I was able to pay about $300 towards my credit card balances. I did not spend money on my credit card. Also a win is that I made a plan. Guys, I have been just freewheeling, going by the seat of my pants with my credit cards. I always have paid, I've always made payments on time. I've never just not paid at least the minimum for my credit cards, but I was kind of just churning money, right? I haven't really been paying close attention. I didn't really know what the interest rates even were on all of them. And so I looked at it and boy, was I unhappy with what I saw. So I made a plan. I have 4 credit cards and I saw all of their interest rates. The lowest interest rate that I have is about 23%, and the highest one was about 29 to 30%. So I did a couple of things. Number one, which I guess is in March now that I actually did this, but I'll talk about it because I did it already, is that I was able to apply for a 0 interest credit card and I was able to do a balance transfer. So for one of my higher interest rate credit cards, I was able to, on my Apple card is what I did, is I took that whole balance and I transferred it to the 0% interest credit card. I have 21 months to pay that balance off, but I'm not going to accrue any more interest on that. So that is a lifesaver. That is going to save me a lot of money. Now, there was a fee to do that, but that fee was the equivalent of 3 months worth of interest. So it's in the long run, it's going to save me money. Now, the other thing I did is I put them in order. Okay. So the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. I know some people like to do the snowball method, like Dave Ramsey's snowball method, where you pick your lowest balance and pay that off first so that you feel good about it. And then you're just done with that credit card fast. But for me, I felt like focusing on those interest rates was going to be better for me because I would save the most money in the long run. So my plan is to pay off that card with the highest interest rate first, and then, continue obviously to pay the minimum or maybe a little above the minimum on all the others. And then once that high interest rate card is completely done, do the one with the next highest interest rate, pay that one off, and then move on. I think for me, that just makes the most sense. And I do think if I'm aggressive with that, I will be able to pay it all off within the next 1 to 2 years, kind of depending on how this all plays out with my other financial goals, because I want to work on my savings. So let's talk about savings and what happened with that in February. If you recall, if you've been following me for a while, at the end of last summer, beginning of last fall, I did some very expensive skin allergy testing. That ended up being $1,500 out of pocket. At that time, I had about $1,000, maybe $1,100 in my personal savings account. And then I ended up putting the other $400 on one of my credit cards, which was kind of stupid, but it is what it is. So I wiped out my savings last year, or the beginning of this year. And at the beginning of February, I had $100 in my personal savings account. I know, I'm Scrooge McDuck over here. So I went from having $100 in my savings account at the beginning of February to the beginning of March. I now have $500 in my personal savings account. So I was able to put $400 into the savings account. That is meant to be like an emergency fund. It is meant to take care of anything. Like, let's say, I don't know, my brakes go out, or I don't know, like something wild happened. So that's what that's meant for. My goal with that savings account is I would like for it to be at least $1,500 to $2,000 set aside there before I start getting super aggressive with the credit card payments. Because who knows what's happening in the world, right? Like, I don't know, my debt is just going to be there. It's just there, right? I think having some cash on hand or some savings is really going to be more important for me. Especially because then I don't have to use the credit cards anymore, right? In fact, I hate that they do this, but my Citibank card just increased my credit limit to like $10,000. And I don't want a $10,000 credit limit on a credit card. I don't need that, right? Like there's no reason for me to have $10,000 in credit debt ever, right? But for me, when I see a limit like that, it's like, oh, well, I have plenty of money, right? No, you don't have any money. You have negative money if you have any balance on that card. So I'm trying to set aside money so that I'm not viewing that credit limit as like my available credit as my savings plan or as my emergency plan, right? I don't want that to be my emergency plan. I want to have cash for my emergency plan. You know what I mean? So that is that. I also have 2 other savings goals that I started in February. I have one more that I'm going to add in March. The first 2 goals was my friend Beth recommended that we start saving $80 a month towards Christmas. And I thought that was brilliant. And then my other goal is I want to travel to Vid Summit again at the end of September. So I set aside $140 towards that goal. So that is that for my what I have for savings right now. Another win is that I kept a list of all of my wins and losses. That's a little meta. I'm talking about that right now. But I think it was part of the win because I'm somebody, like I said, who has historically been just sort of flying by the seat of my pants. I don't pay attention to what I'm spending. I don't pay attention to my impulses. I just sort of buy what I want when I want it for the most part. And that has not been working out so great. So I was able to keep track of things that I wanted but didn't buy. And I was really proud of myself because I think I had like 20 different things that I wanted to buy, like things that I saw on Instagram ads, like a board game for my son to teach him about how to politely interact with the police if he ever gets pulled over. He's only 14. I feel like we have a couple years, so that was not like an immediate necessity. I also didn't buy multiples of everything when I shopped on Amazon, right? Like I have a tendency to want to just buy in bulk whenever I order something, but sometimes buying multiples of a certain item, like there's no benefit to it. If I'm going to Costco and I'm buying stuff in bulk, there's a cost reduction, right? Like it's less money when you buy more per item. But with things like Amazon or Walmart, buying 2 or 3 of something at once, it doesn't really save me any money. It's just like a habit that I have. So I was able to stop myself and just buy exactly what I needed in that moment rather than like future buy. You know what I mean? There's not a reason for me to stock up on certain things. Another thing was protein sprinkles. I saw something advertised on Instagram for toddlers that are picky eaters. So my daughter is a picky eater. She does not eat a lot of protein except for her protein shakes and maybe some yogurt and cheese. So I was like, oh, protein sprinkles, that would be perfect for her. But it was $30 for like a little mini bag of it. And I don't think that would be a great purchase. Overall, I think the biggest win, and I kind of already mentioned this, but I really think the biggest win for me in this project of Frugal February was just awareness, right? Just being more mindful, which is why it's Mindful March in March, was just being more mindful of what I'm doing with my spending. What am I doing with my money? When I'm not paying attention, I just spend. I spend, and it's usually on like little things over time, right? So things that are $50 or less. And so when I'm buying things that are $50 or less, in that moment, it feels like no big deal, right? Oh, no big whoop, no big issue. It's just this, it's just that, it's just this. But when I start doing that over and over again or several times a week, that's hundreds of dollars, right? That's hundreds of dollars every month on things that I probably don't need right this minute, you know? So this has just helped me to kind of slow it down, take a minute, and really reassess, is this something that I need right now? Or is this something that can wait? Or is this something that I actually will probably never need and I need to just stop looking at the internet for a little bit? Like the protein sprinkles, right? So those were my wins. Here are my challenges that I faced, which I know we're getting a little long here, but here are some of the challenges. I did buy some things that were not 100% necessary, okay? I tried to keep it on track. I tried to rein myself in, but there were a few instances where it was like, meh, I didn't need it, but I bought it. Mostly this comes into play when it comes to my kid, my daughter especially. My son, I'm not as tempted to buy him clothes and stuff. I mean, I do still buy him clothes. Like I went to Costco yesterday and I saw some shorts that were on sale and I bought him a couple of pair because I'm like, well, he always needs shorts and he ruins his clothes frequently because he keeps like fishing hooks in his pocket in the summer and he's rough on his clothes. So I do buy him stuff like that, but with my daughter, it's more so like I want her to have green themed clothes for St. Patrick's Day, or I wanted her to have Valentine's Day themed clothes. Those are the kind of purchases where like I know I don't need it, but I still click it anyway. But the win, even though that was a challenge and something that I struggled with, the win is that I only was using my actual bank account money, like real money that I have. I was not allowing myself to buy them with credit cards, which in the past I did, which is embarrassing. So that is that. The other challenge for me, the really big challenge, is that I still have not made an actual budget, like big B budget for myself. The reason for that is just that I have done that in the past. I have tried it in the past and I really just never stuck to it. And so for me, it's like, well, why would I try it again if I know it's not going to work? You know what I mean? Like it just feels like a waste of time and energy, and it feels like I'm setting myself up to fail again. So I'm not setting up a budget per se. And I maybe I will in the coming months, right? As I keep working on this and keep finagling it and tweaking it and seeing what works and what doesn't. Maybe I will get to the point in a month or two where it's like, oh, this actually isn't going to work unless I have a really clear budget. But the way that my brain works and the way that my behavior patterns have been for the last 42 years, I have never been able to stick to a strict budget. And so it just didn't make sense for me to make one now. I know that might sound stupid. I know there was probably people watching who are screaming at me saying will never work. I'll never get in control of my finances if I don't make a budget. Maybe that's true. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, that's where I'm at. But baby steps, right? I am taking steps towards success, right? I am not perfect. So that is how February went. Now let's get into what the plan is for Mindful March. Mindful March, guys. We're getting into Mindful March. What are the plans? Really quick, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. The things I'm going to keep doing that are already working for me are I'm going to keep another note in my phone, right? And my notes app on my phone, because I feel like that was really helpful for me. I always have my phone on me, so it's really easy for me to track that way. And I just write down all the things that I wanted to buy but didn't. And then I write down the things that I did buy that maybe I shouldn't have. And then in that way, I am keeping track. I am also going to continue to keep cash put aside for my 2 specific savings goals, for my travel in the fall and for Christmas, for gifts. So those, I'm going to continue to do that, going to continue to put money aside in those envelopes for the foreseeable future until I reach those goals. I am going to continue to avoid using my credit card. And then the other thing I'm going to continue to do is just continue to build up that savings account that I was talking about, my emergency fund savings account, because like I said, I need to have that breathing room in my finances so that again, if something happens unexpectedly, I don't have to use my credit cards as my emergency fund, right? So those are the things I'm going to continue to do that I was working in February that I'm going to keep doing in March. New things I'm going to start doing in March is, number 1, start a new savings envelope for clothing. As much as I love my uniform that I wear every day, I am losing weight. I've lost about 12 pounds in the last 11 weeks, and I am going to continue to lose weight if things go well. And so I'm going to need new clothes eventually. So I want to have a separate savings bucket for that. So I'm going to start that this month. I know I said I don't have a budget and I'm not going to make a budget per se, but I do need to look at my finances and come up with a realistic idea of exactly how much I can afford to put towards my savings goal or my multiple savings goals, and exactly how much I can afford to put towards my credit debt each month. Because again, as of now and before, I was kind of just winging it and putting money towards it and hoping for the best, right? And I have a general idea, right? I know how much our mortgage is. I know how much our phone bill is. I know how much the car payment is. I know what the general bills are and when they come out of our account. But I think it would be prudent for me to sit down and really have a goal as far as okay, I can afford to put $500 towards my credit debt every month, or I can afford to put $1,000 towards my credit debt every month. I don't know, right? I need to look at it more closely. Again, so that I don't run into this problem where I'm constantly churning, I'm paying a lot towards the credit cards, but then I'm I ran out of cash. Now I need to use the credit card again. I don't know if that's relatable to anybody else, but that is something that I have done in the past where it's did too much. So I don't want to do that, right? I want to be mindful about it. I want to be intentional. I want to be smart about it. And then the last thing that I'm going to do in March is finalize my plans for the new Millennial Meg Accountability Group. Woo! Yay! Okay, so if you've gotten this far, you are exactly who I want to talk to, because that means that you probably like me and you care about what I'm saying and you don't think I'm an absolutely insane person. Which I may be slightly off my rocker, but I've got some credibility and knowledge, right? I'm not a financial expert, certainly, but I am a professional in some way, and I do help people every day work towards goals. And I would like to toot my own horn a little bit, because I just reached a very big goal with my second YouTube channel, Millennial Meg's Health Spot. I was able to get that channel monetized in 2 months, which is huge. That is bonkers. Most people who start a YouTube channel never get it monetized. I have now gotten 2 YouTube channels monetized in the last 2 years. And I was able to get this second channel monetized because I had a very clear goal. I had a very short timeline within which I wanted to do it. My goal was 3 months. I was able to do it in 2. And I was able to be persistent and I was able to accomplish it. And so, with that knowledge, right, of me being able to set goals and meet them in some areas of my life, I want to offer support to others, right? I want us to come together as a community and have a support and accountability group amongst ourselves. This is something that I have thought about for the last year or so, and I've been too nervous to launch it, but I really feel strongly about it. I feel strongly about it because I have the capacity now. I feel confident enough now, and I think it's just the right time. I just think it's the right time. And it is the next step for me in my business, in my entrepreneurial journey, okay? So here's what it is. It's gonna be the Millennial Meg Accountability Group. It will be once a week on Zoom, not really Zoom, but like a Zoom-like platform that I already have through my business. It is not going to be a counseling group, okay? I will not be your counselor. I will not be a mental health professional in this group, but I will be the facilitator. It will be an opportunity for 5 to 8 people per cohort to come together every week to check in, to declare a goal. It can be a financial goal, it can be a decluttering goal, it can be a weight loss goal. I don't really care what the goal is. Everyone doesn't have to have the same goal for this to work. I was in a group, a leadership group for many years where everyone was working on different goals all at the same time. And it didn't really matter what the goal was for each person. What mattered was that we were each coming together once a week. We knew that we were going to be meeting together. We knew we were going to be checking in on our personal progress, on our individual goals. And we also knew that throughout the week, we were going to be checking in with each other as well so that we could stay on track. So this group is once a week for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how it goes. We're gonna work through it. But about an hour, once a week. It will be on Wednesdays. It will be an opportunity, like I said, for everyone to declare a goal, to work through steps that you are willing to take each week. And then as we progress through the weeks, every single week you're going to have an opportunity. Every single person in the group will have an opportunity to check in on how things are going, check in on any issues that you're having, any hiccups, any roadblocks, and then have an opportunity to work on what it is that you are thinking is the issue for you. So that's the general gist and the vibe of the group. I'm very excited. Like I said, I have been a part of groups like this in the past. They were phenomenal. They worked really well for me. Also, in between sessions, I am going to provide for you some journal prompts just to get you thinking, to give you some guidance on how to come up with what your goals are and what you're going to do to work towards them. I'm going to give you some worksheets and printouts. And I will also be providing a way for you to chat with each other throughout the week, right? I have a platform that I use through my counseling business where we can do like a group message or a group chat, okay? So for your cohort, you will have access to that group chat. And I will probably do some sort of like question of the day or some sort of check-in of the day that will get everyone going. And so you can all check in with one another. You can talk amongst yourselves and just offer each other encouragement. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, please reach out to me via email. I'm going to put my email address in the description box. I'm going to put my email address in a pinned comment here. And if you feel like this would be an opportunity that speaks to you, if this is something where you feel like you are ready to pursue some sort of goal in your life, but you're having trouble doing it on your own, this is for you. So I'm so excited. I can't wait to connect with you guys individually. Within the next week or two, I will start responding to people and giving you some information about details. So thank you so much for watching. If you got this far, holy cannoli, this is a really long video, but I'm so glad that you watched. I'm so glad that you're here. Stay tuned for Mindful March. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if I can continue to meet my financial goals for myself. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video, which should be a decluttering video, I promise. All right. Bye, guys. Mwah.